The truth.
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 Welcome to Trusting the Truth with Samuel Tolley, where we view the world through the lens of Jesus Christ. We do not view Jesus Christ through the lens of the world. How you doing? This is Sam Tolley with Trusting the Truth, and today we want to talk about the unfillable hole. And I'm talking about the massive hole that the Democrat Party has created. They've done a pretty good job over the years of holding things together, building a coalition of voters or people that, in my opinion, they've deceived and lied to. But things are not holding together very well. And they are going to start paying for it. I mean, here recently, we got Chuck Schumer, who shut down the government for like 40 days. Democrat always claimed to be the party of the poor, always be the party of the working class. And yet we found out that 42 million people were dependent on government SNAP, food stamps. 42 million. That number is atrocious, by the way. But they didn't care, and he didn't care because he wanted to get health care for illegals. Well, it didn't work out. And now he's waving in the wind, and they're looking to possibly get rid of him. Now, having said that, 42 million people in this country is a ridiculous number. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fraud and waste involved, and that needs to be cleaned up. But the government's back open, and we don't have to deal with Chucky's nonsense anymore for the time being. And then, we're dealing with people like Miss Crockett here. Miss Crockett, who talks like ghetto trash with a Southern accent, who basically grew up in St. Louis, went to a $35,000 a year high school, one of the most elite schools in the nation. $35,000 a year. And she talks like she has no etiquette, talks like she's just ghetto to the bone. And it makes me wonder, is she playing a role for the people that she wants to support her? She's acting like she's dumbed down for their sake. I hear and I've seen pictures of her area that she is in charge of that is poor, destitute, and they don't look like they have anything of value that they're looking forward to. And I don't know what she brings to the table other than arguing about Mr. Trump. But she is not a bigger problem as some of the other people and the whole that we're going to talk about. However, now we also see that old Nancy is finally leaving. But we need to beware. The person that's trying to take her spot may be a lot worse than Nancy. And we're going to get back to that in a little while. But before we want to get to Nancy and the person that wants to take her spot, I want to get a little bit more into this hole. And sometimes, God makes a way. Sometimes God opens doors that you don't even expect him to open. He gives you allies that aren't allies. What do they say? The friend or the enemy of my enemy is my friend. As a Christian conservative, I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I believe that there could only be men and women. But we have a situation in this country, like I said, with the Democrat Party in this hole. And the big hole that they are not or have not been able to fill is this transgenderism hole. They've been able to bamboozle people or convince them or let people be mentally anesthetized into living with abortion, killing the unborn. America has accepted that, unfortunately, since 1973, but we're still fighting against it. Since, what is it? I don't know, when Obama was in the presidency, it was 2015, I believe, or so, same sex marriage, another abomination. For some reason, many Americans have been able to accept that. The destruction of marriage in this country, the number one and first, by the way, institution God created. If you're a Bible believer, you must understand that He made man and woman and He made marriage. Then He made government. And any Christian that accepts same sex marriage is not a Christian. You can call yourself a Christian, but if you're going against God, what are you? Or you're certainly not a disciple of Jesus Christ. But many people have lived with that. And somehow the Democrat Party has been able to fill that hole. But this transgenderism thing, this abomination on the Imago Dei, the image of God itself, is harder and harder to fill each day. And we've seen examples of it recently. And like I said earlier, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We've seen a situation that I believe is nothing less than the hand of God, using people that don't even stand up for His principles to make His point. Recently, Eric Swalwell, this is the congressman from California who now wants to become governor of California. He wants to take over for Newsom or Newscum, or the demonic governor he ruined San Francisco before he became governor. And now he has his eyes set on the White House. So Swalwell, this gentleman who used to be, from my understanding, on the intelligence community. And when he was on the intelligence committee in Congress, and I think he got kicked off of it a few years ago. Hopefully he's still off of it, because it was discovered that even though it's my understanding that he's a married man, he was having an affair with an assistant of his named Fan Fan or something, who happened to be a Chinese spy. It would seem like that we would have had a situation where his own party would have rebuked him. It would seem like anyone that would allow himself to be compromised in the Congress of the United States and in a committee that would certainly, he found intelligence information from our military and whatnot, that they would have gotten rid of him. But we don't have that anymore, particularly in the Democrat Party. They accept anybody and everything, and it seems like as long as they have power, that's all that matters. But nevertheless, Mr. Swalwell wants to be governor of California. And he was recently in a situation where they had a little town hall meeting, and this Black lesbian woman, this singer named Tish Hyman, confronted him about the ongoing problem of men that pretend to be women, this transgenderism thing, and they are in many cases incarcerated. And since they pretend to be women, they are put in women's prisons. I did videos about this years ago. It's the craziest thing in the world. A rapist decides to the change. So this person was convicted of raping women, and then during his court proceeding process, he decides that he is a woman. And so, since he is a woman, they locked him up in a women's prison where he continued to molest women. It's like little Johnny was stealing candy, so his punishment is to lock him up in a candy store. It's the craziest thing in the world. But I want you to watch this interaction between the governor candidate, Eric Swalwell, and this Tish Hyman. Watch this.
The most emotionally poignant question. I want to start with you. I was a prosecutor in Oakland for 7 years, and where justice was warranted and mercy was warranted, I showed it. And where a stiff punishment was warranted because somebody got hurt, I saw it. And I will not be a governor that tolerates violence against women in our state. Period. That's not going to happen. Now, as it relates to the issue of
men,
trans kids,
men,
particularly in sports,
men,
sure,
in women's spaces, harassing.
Yeah,
You said it wasn't a thing.
harassing.
14 times you said it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So I need you to show all the women of California that you're going to protect us.
I'm going to protect women. I did as a prosecutor. I will protect women. No woman should be harassed.
Are there going to be men allowed in the women's room anymore? We need to know.
No woman should be harassed in a locker room. That's
Answer straight. Are there going to be women? Are you against men in women's locker rooms and sports? That's all you need to answer.
I'm telling you, I don't
Please.
want men harassing you in a women's locker room.
I know.
That should not happen.
It's happening all around America. There are 45 women and men, there are 45 men in the women's prisons right now, raping them, picking them out like chickens. The trans men are not women, and they're raping women. So I don't care if you're on the Democrat side, the Republican side. We need to be on the women's side, people. It's happening to our girls. It's happening to our women. And I'm here to let everyone know that this is happening. Open your eyes.
I'm telling you.
Millions of people behind me, black people, who they're using our civil rights to push this. If you want to be the governor, you need to do something about it, because I promise you this, I will not be the last to see of Tish Hyman, okay? Thank you. All right, I want to hear that. You're very handsome, by the way. The who?
Trans kids, will you protect?
There are no trans kids, there are just children. Stop transforming children. No one can make a decision that young. When I was 12, I would have transformed. And guess what? It's wrong. It's wrong. It's abuse. Don't trans children. It's abuse. Trans kids. There's no such thing. There's only men and women. Use your brains. Stop with this.
There's no such thing as trans children. She's absolutely correct. Use your brain. There's men and women. Notice Mr. Swalwell refused to answer her question. I will protect women. But he refused to say he will keep men out of women's prisons. This is a black woman who's a lesbian. So she don't even like men. Her problem was she was at a gym and some dude was messing with her in the gym who was pretending to be a man. I even saw recently a little video clip from, what's this chick? Joey Reid. Used to be on MSNBC. Just as she's another black, radical, leftist Democrat. And she admitted that if she was in a gym and saw a penis, she would be uncomfortable too. But the Democrats have dug this transgenderism hole. And everybody's got to fall in it. Everybody's got to live in it. Even folks that realize that the emperor has no clothes. that it's ridiculous, that it's an abomination, that it is stupid. They know, but they're in this hole. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and say, well, we were wrong. It's not true. They have fallen completely into Isaiah 5:20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute dark for lightness and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's what we are. We're calling good, bad, bad, good, up, down, down, up. We're calling all the crazy stuff okay. When I'm so glad that this woman whose lifestyle I do not agree with said that there are boys and girls. Stop transing children. They can't make a decision. She's a grown woman. She knows fully well what decision she made. And I respect that. I think it's wrong the lifestyle that she promotes, but she is an adult and can make an adult decision. And we're going around here pretending that children, all we're doing is opening the door for pedophilia, for the destruction of our children. It's sick. And there's also money to be made in that mess. In 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10 through 12, it says, for the love of money is a root of all sorts of evil. There's many hospitals that are transgendering kids, cutting off penises and breasts and remanufacturing stuff because they get paid. These people who took a Hippocratic oath that are supposed to care about the health and welfare of people are looking at it as a business practice. They don't care about the psychological damage. And the so-called psychiatric boards of this country and the psychological board, these people are nothing more than quacks. They know full well that changing somebody's body around is not going to fix them. And the lie that was perpetrated among many naive parents talking about, well, do you want a dead daughter or a live son? So, okay, since she thinks she's a boy, let's cut her breasts off and destroy her vagina and make some kind of weird phallus thing and give her testosterone so she can grow a beard and continue with this delusion. And then one day she might wake up and said, I'm neither. Now I'm just a freak, and kill herself. Fulfill the prophecy in reverse that the doctors were lying. And it says, and some by longing for it have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. I wonder how many of these so-called doctors that are performing this stuff claim to be believers in Jesus Christ, believers that they are the image of God. And they fell for this mess. But flee from these things, you man of God, and pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, perseverance, and gentleness. Fight the good fight of faith. Take hold of the eternal life to which you were called, and you made the good confession in the presence of many witnesses. We are supposed to stand for righteousness, stand for truth. It says in Matthew 5:6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. We're not supposed to go along with this nonsense. Even this woman who's not a believer, no, we're not supposed to go along with this. And yet we have millions of people that vote for this Democrat Party. Vote for these people that promote this nonsense. As I was talking about earlier, about Miss Pelosi, you know, Nancy, the woman who they say have picked better stocks than all of Wall Street for many years. Of course, she didn't do any insider trading, but just got fabulously wealthy while being in Congress forever. Well, she's going to retire. She's finally stepping down. But the person that replaced her, or the person that's trying to replace her from California, may very well be worse. This gentleman, Scott Wiener, this is a bad person. This, in my opinion, is a very demonic person. And he writes many bills. He is prolific in writing legislation. Some of it has been the most atrocious, evil, wickedest stuff you can imagine. We'll get back to some of that legislation that he wrote. But this guy, the tall one, he is all in with the LGBTQ and everything else. Also, some of the legislation he tried to pass is, psychedelic drug use. But that's, in my opinion, it's not even the worst. But this guy, he had a conversation with Tish Hyman as well. Tish Hyman seems to be trying to get these legislators to talk to her. Democrats, her kind of people. Well, at least they were. And I want you to watch the conversation that she had with Mr. Werner and watch what he has to say, or listen closely what he has to say.
As the only Black lesbian here, can I please ask you a question, because I flew here to do that? Yeah. Okay. As a lesbian woman who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe, and we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women, and so, so if you're trans women are women.
Senator, you've done great things with the bills you've passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, and like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian Black woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. And I do respect a lot of the things you've done. But I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children. And I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field. And I'm here to represent my community, because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills. And I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous, and we need your help, because you're in the office, you're going to go in the publicity spot. I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now, and we want to know, are you going to protect women? Not trans women, women. Trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. Women are women. I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic, and I'm Black. So if there's another Black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
Let's let him answer the question.
I'm just telling you, since y'all want to woo.
No, just let's.
Now I'm done. And by the way, I respect what you have done. I just want to let you know that.
Let's give the senator the opportunity.
I'm done.
I appreciate your point of view.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you were harassed.
Multiple times.
And I appreciate you talking about it. I think we need to protect the safety of all women. And obviously that's incredibly important. And I also know that trans women are also brutalized in this country. So women and cisgender women are brutalized in this country, and we have to protect the safety of all women.
We have to protect women. We cannot be raped in the bathrooms by men that want to say they're women. They're not women. They're not women. I'm leaving. It's okay, but I'm not going to take it. I am leaving because you know what? You guys are not protecting women. You're doing a lot. The bills that you're passing for the law, I read a lot of them. They're great. But this things with the trans, it's not right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And my name is Tish Hyman. You heard me, sister? All right. Don't let them use our blackness and our civil rights as a reason to pass weird laws for children to transform. It's wrong. My sister's in jail. She can't get free tampons or soap, but she can get free transformation medication. Big Pharma at its best. Tired of it.
Yeah, Scott.
Well, things were going so smoothly.
Well, her sister's in jail. She can't get free tampons and soap, but she can get transition medication for free. Notice that Mr. Weiner refused. Matter of fact, he didn't equivocate like Swalwell did. He flat out said trans women are women, trans men are men. He wasn't budging. This guy is all in. He is totally all in. And he is a demon in glasses and leather sometimes. I want to show you some of the legislation this guy wrote. SB 59 protects the privacy of transgender adults by sealing court records of names and identification document changes related to gender transition. So if they get over there and say that they're a man and they changed in the court records in California, then you're not supposed to be able to find out what they really were. Excuse me. Now, some of his legislation didn't pass. A lot of it did. SB 239. This law, it says modernizing HIV criminal laws. What basically happened was this. There was a time that if you knowingly infected somebody in the state of California with HIV, it was a felony. Well, he got it reduced to a misdemeanor. So the most you can get is 6 months in the county jail if you knowingly infect somebody with HIV. Thanks to Mr. Weiner, that law did pass. SB 179, gender identity, creates a non-binary option for citizens while eliminating obstacles for trans and non-binary individuals who are trying to obtain state identification. You know, the good thing is now the Supreme Court has just said if you want a passport or something, you got to put your birth identification on there, male or female. The state of California play around with whatever kind of goofy stuff they want. AB 362, he was working with some assembly person, Susan Eagman, creates a 3-year pilot program in San Francisco for implementing supervised drug consumption programs, otherwise known as safe injection sites. So here he is, a bill, so you guys can go shoot up. You know, it's funny. You get these people, they were concerned about people getting hepatitis and stuff like that from used, needles, syringes, passing them around. So they would give needles to these people. And now they want to have safe places so you can just go shoot up your dope. Instead of trying to get the citizenry off of drugs, he's going to make it easier for them to use drugs. Here's a real insidious one. SB 866, Teen Choose Vaccine Act, allows teens 12 and over to get vaccinated without parental consent. I think it was modified to go to age 15. Here's another example of these liberals. You know, you got them in these public schools where they're indoctrinating them. And by the way, in California, they can put you, kids can go to a public school and they can start teaching them all this transgender crap and accepting the fact that they want to be identified as something other than what they are born as without you knowing it. So here this guy is talking about a bill that if you're 12 and older, you can go ahead and decide if you want to get injected. So they can put that COVID pressure all over people and have your kids shooting up with that crap and don't even tell you nothing. Matter of fact, there's a law years ago before this guy came on the scene, I believe in California, that if your daughter's pregnant, don't want you to know, the school can go take her and get an abortion. Don't tell you nothing. So she can go get an abortion. You never know, of course, unless she gets infected or bleeding or some crap like that. Then they're going to give her to you. And then you're going to have to deal with it. But that's California. Let's see, SB 107. And these are just some of the laws that Mr. Weiner has put together. Provides refuge for trans kids and their families in California so they can avoid criminal prosecution for seeking or allowing gender affirming care in states like Texas. Let me translate that for you. Say you were married to a woman and you guys broke up, and your kid has got this idea that they are an opposite sex. Well, in your state, you win custody of your kid to keep them away from that crazy parent. Say the crazy parent somehow gets a hold of the kid, or if the parent's visitation day and they take the kid and they go to California. And they're going to California so they can transition your kid. Okay, you contact the courts, you contact the law, the courts in your state send a warrant for that parent's arrest in California and for you to get back custody. Well, California will not honor that warrant. California will say, screw you, screw your state. That parent or the kid by themselves, they can come to California and we will go ahead and provide them whatever transgenderism stuff they need to convert to whatever they think they want to be this week. Thank you, Mr. Weiner, who wants to be the congressperson from California and take over Nancy's spot. We can thank him for that bill. And by the way, back up there with that, I think that SB 239, I think it was that bill, or it might have been another one because I wrote about it when I was still in California. That was the one where I said you can only get 6 months if you knowingly give somebody HIV. Either that bill or we had another bill where public intoxication was allowable now. So you can fall out in the middle of the street and be laid out under drugs or whatever in California. People just walk by you, the police just walk by you and leave you alone. That's another one of Mr. Weiner's things. SB 407 requires the Department of Social Services to take additional steps to ensure foster families are affirming to LGBTQ youth, meaning that if you are a foster parent, you're somebody that wants to look after children that need a place, you have to tolerate them wanting to be part of the LGBTQ stuff. You cannot offer them normalcy as far as just trying to be, hey, you know what? You're a pretty girl, and maybe you want to come to church with us and start thinking about boys instead of girls. Also in California, just for your information, and I don't know if it had anything to do with this demon or not, but it's against the law. Against the law for anyone to offer counseling to anyone under the age of 18 that has a sexual dysphoria going on. So if your minor child thinks that they are the opposite sex and you have a right mind and know that they're not, there is no professional counseling allowed in the state of California because it's illegal. Hopefully, there's still preachers that will tell you the truth. But as far as professional counseling and the way these jokers are these days, I wouldn't go to them anyway. Okay. SB 59 protects the privacy of transgender adults by sealing court records of names and identification documents, changes. I think I already said that one. Anyway, I had a little mic issue there for a second, but I'm back. Anyway, there were a whole lot more bills that Mr. Weiner has authored in the state of California. And many of them have to do with transgenderism or the LGBTQ stuff. But all of them are bad. Well, he has done bills for housing that will help alleviate the overhousing in California. But at the same time, he advocates bringing in all these illegals. So, you might as well try to help find a place for them to stay. Nevertheless, that's just part and parcel of California. But this hole, this transgender hole that the Democrat Party has created for themselves is nothing less than demonic. In 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, it says, "But the Spirit explicitly says that in latter time, some will fall away from the faith, paying attention to deceitful spirits and doctrines of demons by means of the hypocrisy of lies seared in their own consciences as with a branding iron." These people have convinced themselves, just like Mr. Weiner, or you saw when this woman was trying to tell him about these are not women. He's convinced that they are. Fortunately, there are some in this country that still believe in the truth. And one of them is the greatest enemy of the Democrat Party, and that's President Trump. Trump signed an executive order to protect girls' sports. It's so, we shouldn't even have to think about it. To protect girls in their sports. Why should that even be necessary? I used to play with my sister when I was a kid all the time. I played jacks with her. I played hopscotch with her because she was my sister. Sometimes I didn't have any boys around. And I think about the way things are these days. If my parents were crazy, like some of these parents are today, and they had the ability, they might have tried to transition me. But I never thought I was a girl. And frankly, even though I played with my sister, I never let her win. I beat her all the time. And I remember in the second grade, when I was in elementary school, people used to play tetherball was the thing. And at that point in the second grade, boys and girls played with each other in tetherball. And they were competitive because many of the girls were bigger or just as strong as the boys were in the second grade. But by the third grade, things started changing. The boys weren't interested in playing girls' games anymore. They were interested in more competitive because the boys were getting bigger. And by the fourth grade on, it was just a completely different world. So there was no such thing as boys competing with girls. And then when we get to junior high school, you have the girls track team, the boys track team. You didn't have boys playing with girls. And in high school, the same thing. And I looked at these situations now and I thought about me when I was in high school. Just like Miss Hyman was talking about, all these men raping these women in these jails. I could think about when I was stupid and foolish, I might have said in high school, I think I'm a girl, so I wanna be in the girls' locker room. I wanna play tennis, or I wanna be on the girls' basketball team, or I wanna play anything the girls are doing. Because me and my brain, I knew it. I never thought of anything. That would have just gave me an opportunity to be where they were. Give me an opportunity to get in trouble. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, we still had sense in our society. The adults understood basic biology. Our hormones were starting to go through the roof as a teenager, and they wanted to limit our ability to go stupid. This kind of madness wasn't even around at that point in time. But I got one more little clip I want you to see. President Trump signed this executive order around girls, protecting girls.
If you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Pretty good, huh? I see that. Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here, take a pen. Thank you. I'll give some of these out, okay? Take a pen, take a pen.
I don't even understand the mentality of anyone that would allow males to be in locker room with girls, that would allow your daughters to be competing against boys. Like I've heard of some young lady got, I don't know if she got paralyzed or what, by being spiked with a volleyball. Recently I've seen about a situation in San Jose, I think it was San Jose State or something, about the team. Most of the team transferred to another school because they had a transgender person on there. Miss Hyman was right. There's boys and there's girls, there's male and there's female. There are no such thing as a transgender person, in my humble opinion. There are mentally ill people or people that are demonically possessed. God didn't make male. We make a mistake by tolerating evil. We need to stop it. The medical institutions need to stop it. The legal institutions need to stop it. The academic institutions need to stop it. We need to just act like what we are, men or women, boys or girls. This hybrid, weird, demonic butcherization of society cannot even produce life. The United States, we are under the reproduction rate as it is. Why on earth would we want to sit over there and butcher ourselves and you can't even make more people? The only person that benefits from that is Satan. It's time for us to wake up, America. Come back to our roots. Men and women raising boys and girls. That was God's plan. Or husband and wife better raising boys and girls. So they can grow up, get married, and raise boys and girls. And leave all the weird stuff alone. This is Sam Tolley, and I'm out.